everybody, it's Teresa with resticksin.com, and today's ornament for our bundled up Christmas tree is a little sock. You have to, right? You can't be bundled up without a cozy hand crocheted sock. So since it's just an ornament, I did a little bit of cheating. Normally when you make a sock, since your foot is kind of round, you have to do a lot of special shaping to make it fit. And that can be a little time consuming, and it's also something that can be a little intimidating to beginning knitters or crocheters. So since this is just an ornament, I decided to skip all of that and fake it with just a little bit of shaping with the length of the rows. So if you've never crocheted a sock, you don't have to worry. This really doesn't count. So all you have to know in order to do this is single crochet. It is so simple. So let me switch the camera around so you can see close up what I'm doing, and I'll walk you through this whole process. So here's a closer look at the ornament that we'll be making. It's a great way to use these beautiful variegated sock yarns that do all this beautiful work for you. You just have to keep on crocheting and the yarn will make all that lovely variation in the thread for you. So also, here's how I tend to work. I wrote my pattern on this little strip of paper, and then as I go, I just use a pen cap here to kind of mark which row I'm on. A pattern like this, where each row is different, a plan like that will really save you some sanity. Okay, so here's how we get started. I've done a chain stitch here, and I've chained 17 chains on this little row. And so now I'm ready to start my single crochet. In the second chain from the hook, I'm going to start my single crochets. Pushing the needle through, grabbing the yarn and pulling it through, and then yarn over and pull through both. That is a single crochet. And I'm gonna do that over and over and over again to make this sock. So I'm going to single crochet all the way across, and then when it's time for me to turn it around and start the second row, I'm going to do one chain stitch. And that will just give me some room so that I don't have to like pull the sides in tight. It just gives me some like room to turn. So, okay, I'm gonna single crochet all the way across, and I'm gonna do that for 24 rows to make up that straight ankle part of my sock. And chain, so I'm ready to turn, and there we go. There's my ankle. So now as I turn, before I start the 25th row, I have to consult my pattern because this is where things start to change. So on the 25th row, it says I'm supposed to add a stitch. Each of your additions you'll be making on either the first or the last stitches. And so I wrote in my notes just a shorthand +1 because I'd know what that meant. So here in the first crochet stitch after my chain, I'm going to do a regular old single crochet just like I've been doing for 24 rows now. And then to add a stitch before I go on to that next spot, I'm going to add a second single crochet in that first position. So now I can finish the rest of the row as I've been doing. I add an extra chain and then I turn, and I just keep consulting that pattern. So on row 26, I have to add another stitch. So I'll be doing that in that first position and crocheting around and following those instructions down until I get to around the toe when it's time to start bringing this baby back together. So let me make all my additions, and then I'll show you how to start subtracting some of those additions to make the shape that we want. I have just finished row 36, and you can see it's starting to make a little sense. There's a little heel and the little toes popping way out there. So now on row 37 of the pattern is when we start to subtract some of those stitches we've been adding in order to make the shape that we want. So to do that, I have written in my notes SK1, and that just means skip 1. It's that simple to subtract some of these stitches. You'll just, so here's the first crochet stitch. I just won't use that one, and I'll go into the second stitch. And I've just subtracted one of those stitches. That's all you have to do. So now I'm gonna go across the row like I have been and keep following. In a few rows, I'll have some where I have to skip 2 or skip 3, and that's just as simple as it sounds. You skip the first 2 or you skip the first 3, and you just keep on going and following the pattern as it's instructed. I finished crocheting my little sock, and it's very cute, but a little flat, so I'm going to add a second piece to make it an actual sock. But you can see on this one, I added a loop that I can hang it from. And all I did there was, instead of chaining 17, I chained 31. And then started my single crochet in the same spot, so it would have been 16 chains from the beginning. And that just leaves that little leftover loop of chain to hang your ornament from. So with my 2 sides, a front and a back, and they're crocheted exactly the same way, I just match them up, and then I'm going to crochet them together around the edge. So I have a slip knot on my crochet hook, and I'm just going to shove it through the sides of both pieces. And it might get a little confusing with all those extra tails around, but here's my big yarn, and I'll just yarn over as normal and single crochet that through, and I'll keep doing that. There we go. I'll keep doing that all the way around, and this will not only look cute and create a nice finished edge, but it will make it so you don't have to weave in any ends. You can just take these leftover pieces and just kind of line them up in that little margin and crochet right over them and cover them all up. And when you're done, it will look like this, and you can go hang them all on your tree. Now that I'm done crocheting my little sock, it still likes to curl up a little bit, see? And that's just something knitting and crochet likes to do. So I think that before I put it on the tree, I'm going to do a little bit of blocking, and that is just where you get it wet and then let it dry flat, and it will kind of conform to the shape you want it to a little bit better. And then I'm just gonna go nuts hanging these all over my trees. There's so many different beautiful kinds of this variegated sock yarn out there that you could just go nuts making these. And once you're feeling brave, even try an actual sock pattern and make real socks to hang on your tree. So I hope that you'll give this a try, and that I'm inspiring you to add a little festivity to your holidays this year. If you have any questions, leave me a comment down below, and we'll see you next time. Oh, don't forget to subscribe to the channel so that you can see all the rest of my great ornament ideas, and we'll see you next time. Bye-bye.